Well, let's turn to James Taranto and Errol Louis, Robert Zimmerman, our panel tonight. James, your reaction to first these demonstrations, the counter demonstrations, the organization of left to right organizations. What's going on?
Well, I'm totally with you on this one, Lou. It's a great thing that people are getting out and speaking their minds. It takes an enormous amount of chutzpah for the Democratic Party and the White House to say, after trying to push this through without any debate, saying we have to get this done by before August, now to say, oh, these people, they're not letting us have a reasoned debate. That was exactly what they were trying to avoid. And this is really remarkable. It's the first time I can remember a political party deciding to wage a negative campaign against voters. It's really astonishing.
Robert, what's going on?
I'm still trying to figure out what you just said. I mean, the reality is you've seen the Democratic Congress deal with this issue of health care for over now a year in terms of multiple public hearings. And while there was obviously a goal of getting the process moving forward by August, no one's discouraging town hall meetings. What troubles me is that you don't see, and for that matter, any of the Democratic progressive groups out there trying to shut down Republicans from their sessions. Yet you see this constant barrage of attacks. And very frankly, I think the open debate is important and healthy and critical. But when you try to block debate, when you try to shut down the town hall meetings, when you try to engage in really vile rhetoric, I think it demeans both the Republican Party and this important debate.
So you're agreeing with James, is that right?
I'm saying...
And me. Because we're talking about the great open democratic process.
We're all encouraging the open democratic process, but we're not witnessing it from the right wing of this country.
Ah, okay.
Well, you know, not to dissent with anybody, I'm all in favor of free speech, but we did have a 2-year election period in which people complained month after month. How long is this going to go on? How many speeches and debates will there be? I don't think there's a single person in this country of voting age who could have been surprised at what the president put forward. He said over and over and over again what he was going to do. So now, that's not to say that we don't need more explanation, more debate, more discussion, but you know, the notion that we've been caught by surprise, that this thing suddenly fell out of the blue, that, oh my God, he wants to do health care reform. Surely people knew before they went to the polls last fall.
So this is the president fulfilling a campaign promise. If that's the case, why did he give the lead to Congress for it?
Well, I mean, look, his political strategy, I'll leave to him and his party.
Okay, well, let me ask this, if I may, of you all, because you bring up a point. There was a 2-year election period. It really ran from the declaration from January 2007 for President Obama to his election. Where was the discussion about NAFTA, outsourcing, free trade, the unfunded liabilities of all of these programs, the discussion on illegal immigration, border securities? If I may remind everyone, forgive me for so presuming, those were combined the third rail of politics, and we couldn't get these candidates. Not simply President Obama, but the presidential candidates would not discuss those
But
issues.
Ironically, the one issue they wouldn't stop talking about was health care.
And in fact,
ironically.
And in fact, what we're witnessing right now is one of the most, is in fact a very open process where you have a real philosophical debate, not divided by party lines, in addressing the health care crisis in this country.
But the idea that we had an election and that settled it.
Well, no one's claiming that, James.
We had an election in 2004. George W. Bush ran on private accounts for Social Security, but that wasn't really what people were voting for when they elected him, re-elected him the president. And so he went out and made the case for that, and he failed. And I think the same thing is happening here with health care.
We're going to be back with James, with Errol, Robert, as to sort all of this out here in the broadcast. We'll have much more on those angry confrontations. We'll be bringing you video of those confrontations at town hall meetings across the country.
Excuse me, the police will make a decision about whether it continues to be safe or not.
Now we've got the temperature just right. I'm joined again by 3 of the best political analysts in the country: New York Daily News columnist, CNN contributor Errol Louis, Democratic strategist, CNN contributor Robert Zimmerman, James Taranto, editor of OpinionJournal.com. Here we are. Why is there this reluctance, Robert, to talk about good news? I mean, we saw a significant improvement in the unemployment numbers, still far too high, but we saw a tick down. One can say it's a technical reduction in the unemployment rate, but at least it's a reduction. This is good news.
It's followed by the good news about the GDP the week before, housing sales increasing, prices of homes going up, In fact, the hourly wage increasing very modestly. But the point is there are good signs, but I think the White House's measured response really made sense. What the White House is not announcing, what they were not highlighting today, is that one of the reasons we had a better economic employment report was because the labor market's contracting. And in fact, it counted
Robert Zimmerman is an economist. I'm sorry.
No, but the fact is every economist pointed out in their analysis that, in fact, you have more people long-term unemployed who are not part of this count. So that contributed to the fact it was better news. Didn't know I was an economist, did you?
I didn't know, and I'm so impressed, as always, and I appreciate it,
always try to
Robert.
impress you.
Errol?
I'm no economist, but I thought the numbers. Look, the numbers are horrible if you really look at them closely. When for the president of the United States, there's no way he could get out and say, "Hey, we've got some good news. There are now 5 million Americans who have been unemployed for 6 months or longer." I mean, there's a lot of pain out there. He's seeing it. He's hearing it. When there's a seasonal adjustment or any other kind of change could really sort of restate that number, and it's an upward blip on what could still be a downward trend when it comes to employment.
Yeah, James?
Strangely enough, I agree. I think the White House struck just the right tone. The total number of jobs was down. Unemployment was down slightly because the total number of people in the labor market was down even more. So we still are
discouraged workers moving away from the labor force, which of those looking for a job, which reduced the technically, as I put it, the unemployment rate to 9.4%.
Presumably that's what explains it. But the number of jobs is still declining. It's declining more slowly, but it's not improving yet. It's just getting worse less quickly than it was getting worse before, which is better than get more quickly. So in that sense, it's improving.
I'm going to stick, if you keep this up, I'm going to stick with Robert Zimmerman on economics.
Fair enough.
And let's turn to the issue, and the reason I bring it up, frankly, we are seeing so many positives. There's no question we're in recession. And arguably will be in a jobless recovery for some time. But nonetheless, the reluctance, the almost overwhelming urge to be sophisticated here and resist acknowledging good news does not help the prospect for more good news, is what I'm referring to in terms of leadership. Let's go to Congressman Brian Baird from Washington State, saying he will no longer conduct these town hall meetings because he's received death threats and he's going to go to teleconferences instead. We're going to find out if that's a smart approach when we continue with our panel in one moment.
I don't mind, by the way, being responsible. I expect to be held responsible for these issues because I'm the president. But I don't want the folks who created the mess, I don't want the folks who created the mess do a lot of talking. I want them just to get out of the way so we can clean up the mess. I don't mind cleaning up after them, but don't do a lot of talking.
We're back with Errol Louis, Robert Zimmerman, and James Taranto. James, your reaction?
Well, it's really kind of a juvenile statement, isn't it? I mean, I don't want these people doing a lot of talking. I want them to get out of the way. It's like he's trying to be bullying, except as the President of the United States, it's a free country. He doesn't actually have the power to shut anyone up. It just comes across as empty bluster.
Well, he doesn't have the power, perhaps, directly, but he does have the ability to chill and silence some of his critics, somewhat those who are a little more timid than others. What do you think?
I doubt it will work. I mean, there are some members, I think, of the past administration, and some of them have gone into the media, and they talk quite a lot, and he's letting it known he's sick of the criticism. Now, this is the end of his honeymoon period, if it hasn't ended already.
He's sick of the criticism. You know, what president isn't sick of the criticism at any point?
Well, that's right. That's right. But again, I mean, as his honeymoon ends, he's trying one last time to say, listen, this wasn't my problem. I mean, it's going to be, and it is. But
it wasn't his problem. Isn't his problem. He's president of the United States.
There you go.
The problem he has.
He's the guy who said it. By the way, if I were president, I'd drop that into speeches, too.
The problem
I am president of the United States.
He's earned the right to say it.
Absolutely.
But the problem he has is a Republican Congress that has made no effort to work in any bipartisan fashion with this administration, even when he's accepted their ideas and proposals. So the message simply at this rally was, if you're not going to be part of the solution, get out of the way. And I don't think that's wrong.
Wait, there's a Republican Congress?
The Republican members of Congress.
Oh.
The Republican members of Congress. He's brought in their programs in the stimulus package.
He's embraced them warmly, I think.
You know something?
A big hug.
Much more.
Big hug.
He's embraced their ideas much more openly than we've ever seen from the other side.
I couldn't agree with you more about whatever it is you just said that was so nice about the Democratic Party. Because
One of those nights.
It's one of those nights. The president's declining approval rating, gentlemen. This doesn't look so hot. What do you think?
Well, it's inevitable. I mean, it wasn't going to last. If he wanted to play it easy, if he wanted to play it safe, there are any number of different things he could have done. He could have done more of the sort of feel-good proposals. He could have shunted more onto Congress. He could have avoided some of these big fights. He chose not to do that. He's taking a political hit. If there's any time to do it, it's before the 2010 elections.
Real quickly, the Republicans are in real trouble, and they can't, it seems that their office holders can't get out of office quickly enough. Mel Martinez, Senator Martinez, saying he's resigning. He's not waiting to not run. He wants out.
Yeah, I don't understand that one. I have no explanation.
I do. It's getting tough for these folks.
All right. Robert Zimmerman summing it up for us. Errol Louis, thank you very much. James Dorado. We'll be right back.